Do you believe in life after love? What is up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us to this week's edition of the To Be Fair Fantasy Football Podcast. To my left is Chris. Beneath me, he is now turned, is Nick. We are so happy to have you with us. We're just going to go straight to the intro video, everybody. Like I said, welcome back to the To Be Fair Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Johnny. To my left is Chris. Beneath me is Nick. If they seem distracted tonight, Ohio State is apparently opening up a can of whoop booty on Notre Dame. Right?
The Hunchbacks.
That's who they're playing. I don't watch college
Not
football,
the
so
Hunchbacks.
that's how out of touch I am. I only know they're playing them because the Bengals are most likely waiting to steal their defensive coordinator from Notre Dame. So that's the only reason I've paid attention somewhat.
Well, it's not working. Ohio State's rolling, right?
Well,
So,
considering the Bengals have looked at the Raiders, the Bears.
Dude, yeah. I don't know. The Bears, at least, I understand. Like, Matt Eberflus, before the Bears coaching position, was at least a defensive coordinator in the NFL who had success. I would have been okay. I mean, I know that didn't work out in Chicago.
Yeah.
But the Raiders thing, dude, like, what are we doing?
I don't know. Maybe they just wanted to talk to Marvin Lewis. Who knows? I'm getting weird signals in the chat already. That was weird. Like a birthday thing flew up. I don't know what that was about. I got distracted.
Happy birthday!
Anyways, welcome back to our third show of the year.
Of the playoffs.
Yeah,
same thing.
Yeah, it's of the year, right? I missed last week's because last week was my wife's birthday.
Hates you.
And,
Happy birthday,
we were
Adriana.
celebrating. Yep, it was a great time. She's now elderly, so everybody wish her a happy birthday. Woo!
She did have a hip surgery.
She did. She's at
She
the
is
end.
now, what's she, 41 now?
Pretty close. 20. How old am I? She's 27. She's 27. So she's getting up there in age. But that is not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the playoffs and
Playoffs.
how depressed
Talk
I
about
am
playoffs.
about the playoffs.
Yeah, it was Saturday was a real letdown.
Yeah.
Saturday watching the Chiefs game, and when I say watching, it was. We mentioned this before. Did anybody actually watch it?
I started
watched some of it.
I started.
I watched
rage quit.
parts. Yep.
Could not.
Dude.
I rage quit before it got bad.
Dude. Patrick Mahomes got a penalty for two Texans hitters playing each other. Or hitting each other.
I saved a thread. There was eight no calls that drastically changed the game for against the Chiefs.
What kills me is that, like, there are people defending the Chiefs, most of them Chiefs fans, talking about how, like, we don't get calls, blah, blah, whatever. And, like, okay, let's just be unbiased for a moment. Absolutely, across the NFL, every team, every game, there are calls that are missed. It's part of life, and unfortunately now we have technology that allows us to go back in slow-mo and make things look significantly worse than they do. So, like, I understand to the benefit of the doubt that, like, it's a little card stacked against really everybody. You can make an argument in any game about it. The problem with the Chiefs games are it's every game, first and foremost. There are plenty of games I watched where I thought, like, ticky-tacky calls could go either way. I'm not upset about it. Every game there's a questionable call in a Chiefs game that I think that was bad. 2, inevitably, it's every time that the game is beginning to get out of hand, and it's like it either significantly hinders momentum or significantly helps momentum for the Chiefs. And then they just start rolling, and then it's too late. Did you see that the stat that the Texans are the first team ever, 50 games have been played. A team has what was it, like 300 yards total as an offense, 0 turnovers, 0 sacks, or something like that, and lost. Like, dude, it's wild to me.
Texans?
Yeah, they got
It,
he got
maybe it wasn't sacks.
yeah, I
It
was gonna
wasn't
say it
sacks. No, no,
wasn't
no. It was
sacks.
time
He
of
got
possession.
sacked
It
a
was time of
million times.
possessions.
Yeah,
It was time of possession.
yeah.
Is what it was. It was time of possession, points scored, and no turnovers. And they said that like those 3 stats alone, teams had never lost.
I agree. Yeah, it's not a great look for all the Texans players to be like, when you come into Arrowhead, this is what you're gonna get. But like, someone's got to draw attention to it.
It's
If not,
bad
if
when
it's
Troy Aikman
yeah,
is on the show going, "This is unacceptable."
yeah,
Next year things have to change. Like that's how significant it's getting. Where like legitimately the commentators are mid broadcast going, "This can't happen."
I mean, J.J. Watt, who I don't side with on a lot of sports takes because he's typically backing his brother. Even he's on Twitter saying like they hit each other with a bunch of laughing emojis, and it's like, okay, now you're having one of the best defenders of all time chime in. Richard Sherman is chiming in. It's like these are not nobodies. These are like the best players to ever do play at their position. Like,
Yeah, I just
something's got to change, and
dude, it's
it's making
crazy.
it unwatchable. And between that and then the cutting, I know it's kind of a joke, but it's kind of not. The cutting to Taylor Swift nonstop, and it's like you make this the most unwatchable product. Like if they three-peat, it's just gonna be like the most.
Dude, we've already all said it. Like last year the Chiefs went to the Super Bowl. You all came to my house.
Yeah.
We did not turn the game on. Like we sat in another room and played board games.
Yeah.
Like legitimately.
Like
Like I have never done that in my entire life. Not turn on the Super Bowl.
yeah. I
and
watched the
like
Rams
been
Patriots
bummed.
Super Bowl that was like 9-3, which was
Dude, it was such a boring game.
terrible. And
I would rather that.
yeah. Red Zone Prod said Commander Bill's Super Bowl. That's basically those are the only 2 teams left that I would like to see play football. And I don't even really like either one of those teams. I just don't hate them. So that's where we're at in the playoffs.
I think I'm rooting for the Bills now.
I am a Bills
Yeah,
are
I
my
would
number
agree.
1 choice. Yeah, as you all know,
I like the Commanders. I think it's fun watching a rookie quarterback be. Johnny is a spiteful old man when it comes to mobile quarterbacks.
hey,
So
technically they're calling Josh Allen a mobile quarterback. So the last
dude, okay, how can you say technically? He definitely is.
the last immobile quarterback was Stafford. So I was rooting for the Rams to go all the way. I just kept switching my allegiances to the last immobile quarterback.
Dude.
And then the Rams got eliminated. They got, I mean, it was the biggest choke job of the century. It kind of got
bad.
boned on a
It was
no call, but
it was double
whatever.
whammy. They kind of threw it away, and then Barkley also just did what Barkley does, apparently against the Rams.
Yeah.
Set the single season rushing record, or what was it? The NFL? Was it NFL
He-
or was it Eagles rushing
I know
record the first time?
He tied the Eagles rushing record with that huge run, and then I think he beat it with the next drive.
I know.
But-
I know. In the regular season, he played the Eagles, and he broke a record with like 295 yards or something
Yeah,
stupid.
it was ridiculous.
So he does not like the Rams. He's
Yeah.
very good against them.
So needless
But
to say,
that was frustrating. And then the Lions lost.
yeah, that
Double
just-
whammy.
I've literally not had a game until the Bills game go the way I was rooting yet. That was the first
Yeah.
one where I've been rooting for the team to win that actually won. So if you want a team to win, and here's the secret, I turned that game on with a minute left. I turned that game on when the 2-point conversion was dropped, and I was like, yes. So
I wouldn't have minded the Ravens winning. I said it before. Being in a division, like for instance, if I'm the Cowboys or the Giants, as a fan right now, I'm going. Both of the other teams in the division are playing for the NFC division. Like, that's a hard division. As a Bengals fan, I'm looking at the Ravens theoretically if they go to Super Bowl and going, whether they win or lose. I know. I'm saying theoretically. Theoretically, they go. You're looking at it as like that's a Super Bowl contending team in general, win or lose. Now, granted, it doesn't matter now, but I wouldn't have minded the Ravens going.
Yeah, but I think Lamar's a bad quarterback, so that's why. And every time he goes to the playoffs,
He's a freak athlete.
It's proved. I think he's a freak athlete, but he's a bad quarterback. And every time he goes to the playoffs, that's proven. He's
Playoff record's not great.
Yeah,
but his stats this year were quite the opposite of a bad quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, but I knew I could have told you what would have happened when he went to the playoffs. It happens every time.
Yeah.
But to their credit, Josh Allen did not do anything. Jalen Hurts did nothing to help their team win.
No.
They just survived out there.
Again, it's the classic, they just don't have to. I said it earlier. Nobody has made the. You know how people and the commentators always every time the Chiefs play, they talk about this quote unquote bully ball where teams get forced into playing into the style the Chiefs play. It's like the Eagles are doing that, and they just get to just keep running. Well, they just don't have to do anything.
That's why the Lions lost. They didn't do what they've done all year.
They couldn't stop anything.
I know. I mean,
Jane James got the ball and just would walk down the field and score. It was incredible. It's good for them, honestly. I mean,
it's just weird.
It sucks. I wanted the Lions to win, but
I did too. It's just weird watching. I mean, you watch Tom Brady all those years have to just feed Gronk 100 times to make a game win, and now we have to watch Joe throw it 45 times a game to make it close. And then you have quarterbacks that are throwing for 170 yards and no touchdowns, and they're advancing to the championship game. It's how does that work? I don't know.
What kind of magic do you have?
It's wild. But anyways, we'll get into the first segment of the day, which is the recap of Chris and Nick's beautiful face-off, which I was not here for, so I will hand it off to Chris for this. Tell me how this went down.
Okay, so basically, if you weren't here, Nick and I did a fantasy draft, basically, of one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, and a tight end. We just kind of snake draft between the two of us who's left in the playoffs as of last week. So obviously it was 6 teams at that point, something like that. You're kind of just choosing from, and obviously nobody's playing fantasy, but it was just more of let's see how he did. It was pretty close. In all honesty, I had to go back, watch the video. I had to write down who we had because I forgot. And then in going back, when I was tallying up the points, I'll be honest, I just gave us the classic, it's PPR. So point for catch, point for every 10 yards. Rushing was 1 point for every 10 yards. I just did, usually passing is 1 point for every 25. And I didn't know how to do the scoring for the passing touchdowns because some leagues do 4, some leagues do 6. So I just kept it all the same and just did 6 across the board.
I think that's the correct way, even though I think 4 is standard, which is dumb. But
yeah, I mean,
proceed.
Whatever. Either way you look at it, I tallied it up pretty much across the board. I don't have it in front of me anymore, but I had Josh Allen. Nick had Lamar. Lamar had a better day, but then he had more turnovers. So in total, Josh Allen had 17 points theoretically fantasy wise, and Lamar would have had 18. Every category was right on top of each other. I had Barkley go off for me, who I took. Nick had Jameer. It was 38-35, very close. Ultimately, what happened was AJ Brown killed Nick.
Yep.
That's where.
Are we not surprised?
Yeah, I'll say the back half of the season for AJ Brown was crazy.
Terrible. Bro would be a freaking 1,700-yard receiver on 10 other teams.
But this is what I keep saying. Side note, just going to circle back. Devonta Smith still looks good in that offense, even though AJ Brown doesn't. That's all I'm going to say. Not that AJ Brown is clearly the better offensive player. I get that. But I'm just saying fantasy-wise. Next year.
Yeah.
Whatever. But that's the point. Either way you look at it, total points, I had Allen, Barkley, Henry, Puka, Terry McLaurin, Sam Laporta. That would have gotten you 121 points, theoretically.
Ish.
ish. I say ish because I didn't like if a player had 137 yards, I just gave him 13 points. I didn't like round up. And also most leagues have like you break 100, you get some sort of like
Right.
boost. I didn't do any of that. That would have gotten you 121-ish points. Nick had Lamar, Jahmyr Gibbs, James Cook, Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown, and then Travis
2
Kelce.
Browns.
Yeah, the double Browns.
All for today.
Gave Nick 109. So it was close. Like I said, the you got to think. Like I said, most of our players, when I looked, were 17-ish points on the week. It's pretty much right about. I mean, Nick didn't need a whole lot to really beat me.
Yeah,
So
it was pretty close. Pretty
Close
close.
game.
Closer than I thought. Next up, we got what is this? The AFC and the NFC championship game.
pretty much.
We got the
is.
Eagles versus Commanders, and the Chiefs versus the Bills. Eagles versus Commanders. I guess I shouldn't assume. Who are we all rooting for? Nick and I are rooting for the Commanders. I question Chris's allegiance here.
I like both teams. I think I'd rather see the Commanders go. I'd root for them, but I think the Eagles win.
Yeah, I agree. And I hate to say it, but I'd like if the Eagles win it all, I'll only be happy for Saquon. That's it.
I am going to root for the Commanders, and I think the Commanders win because Jalen Hurts sucks.
Yeah.
And he's not going to be able to keep up with Jaden Daniels putting up 40.
Yeah.
My
So,
fear
they're
is
gonna have
he's
to
a
lean
rookie
on-
quarterback, and I just don't know. Like he's been balling. Don't get me wrong, but he's done this all year where like balls, and then there's a random game where like that offense puts up to like 10 points. And
Listen,
that's it.
Matt Stafford was making Darius Slay look like granted, it's Matt Stafford, but he had Darius Slay lost out there a couple of times. So if Scary Terry can get loose, then I think they'll be all right. I think Saquon is going to have to just go crazy.
He is a man among boys. It
Yeah.
is insane.
But yeah, I will die a sad death if I have to watch Eagles Chiefs again. So go Commanders.
Yes, please.
Next up, we've got Chiefs versus the Bills. I know we're all rooting for the Bills. That's an easy one. The question is, do we think the Bills can beat the Chiefs?
Yep.
The question is, do we think the Bills can beat the refs?
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't see a world.
Listen,
The Ravens team is a better team than the Chiefs. Defensively, offensively, across the board, that team is better. And the Bills did what they want.
the Bills beat them once already this year, which
And they beat them bad. Like it was not close. It was like 31-10 or something.
I just don't. I just think if the NFL wants to will the Chiefs to the game, that they will will.
I think they could will them if they wanted.
I think it'll go
genuinely.
to overtime, and then the Chiefs will go to the Super Bowl. That's my prediction.
Dude, I genuinely think this might be the ugliest playoff game I've ever seen in my entire life. And by that I mean I'm not exaggerating. I think the Bills might win by 30 plus.
I would be so happy. I am so unlucky, and football playoffs tend to go so against me and my fandom that I'm going to be forced to watch the Chiefs play in another Super Bowl. Like that's how I feel it coming. Even though I really don't want that to happen, but that's my prediction. I want the Bills to win. I think the Chiefs are going to be. I think the NFL is going to give the Bills a royal screw job and get the Chiefs to the Super Bowl. So
so let me ask you this. Nick, give your input first before I ask my question.
I'm taking the Bills. I think the Bills win. I think they'll overcome.
I agree. Let me ask this. Assuming Johnny's theory comes to fruition here, and the NFL does their best rig job to get Kermit the Frog back to the Super Bowl again, at what point does like cheating, because like for instance, there's money involved across the board with like gambling, people betting. There's like in boxing, there's always a big problem of people like betting intentionally, knowing that the outcome of the game is rigged. Um, at what point is there like this like overwhelming blow up of people being like, dude, no,
I,
like we're done.
I don't think that people will ever stop watching. I think that it will
Sure.
come crashing down eventually because the same thing happened in MLB. I mean, look at Pete Rose, look at the steroids era. They all thought, look at the freaking White Sox scandal. They all thought that they were going to get away with it the whole time, and then eventually, whether it be 10, 20 years down the road, it blew up. And then now that era is tarnished forever. Like, no matter what happens, the steroid guys that probably were still some of the best baseball players we'll ever see will never be what they should be. And
Yeah.
all I can hope for is that in 2050, that it is exposed that the NFL was blowing the Chiefs for 10 years, and now Patrick Mahomes' records are stricken from the books. That would bring 70-year-old me the most. I would just die a happy life. Like
It might stop your heart
I would
in
just
that moment.
And like people think like I'm being a sour Bengals fan. I genuinely think, I like wholeheartedly believe that there is some amount of rigging going around to get the Chiefs to where they are, because there's just no way. There's just no way. And I still believe that the betting is causing outcomes of games to change, whether it be big or small. Did you see what happened on the Chiefs game? Did you see the 9.5 line? And what was the last play of the game? Runs out the back of the end zone for a safety. You can't tell me that Andy Reid was just being savvy. There's no way. Vegas called down and said, dude, you got to do something about this, which ultimately it doesn't affect anything, but you're screwing over people, and then that's when it starts to get scummy, and that's when it starts to get illegal. So I think at some point it will all blow up, and I will be very, very happy. And then it'll have a little, star by their Super Bowl winnings.
I'm with you. I don't know. I went into this year playing into the joke of like, haha, yeah, NFL rigged, it's scripted, wink, wink. And then we got about like week 5 or week 6, and I was kind of like, what are we doing here? Like,
Yeah.
I thought it was a joke. NFL.
I think
really.
John Krigler has the best. He's like, he doesn't think it's rigged, but he's like, he definitely thinks it's more akin to WWE than it is baseball now. Like you're watching entertainment opposed to a sporting event.
Yeah, I don't remember who I was talking with. I said the same thing. I don't think you can rig an NFL game.
Yeah.
Because genuinely, like, you can't account for injuries. You can't account, like, there's no way you could get away with just having a team like blatantly throw a game, for instance. So like, you have to have guys play. But like in the Chiefs case, for instance, I do think genuinely you can, like, on pivotal calls,
just
favor one way
just
intentionally.
push them to the finish line. Zach Attack says Commanders winning it all. I don't think if the Bills make it past the Chiefs, I don't think
the Bills look incredible,
I don't think
dude. I just don't see who stops them
but
right now.
Yeah.
We will see.
Josh Allen is playing out of this world.
We're going to need like a good arm performance out of Josh Allen for them to beat both teams, not just a rushing performance.
Yeah, but like that's the thing. Like he's done that this year.
Yeah, he's capable.
He's there. The Bills are the Eagles, except they've at least shown that they can throw when they need to.
Yeah.
The Eagles were just assuming they can.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to our fantasy awards. And this is not people we specifically have on our team. There is one award that is specific to our team, but overall, this is not people specifically have on our team. This is just across the league, standard PPR for the most part.
We're going to mail them a telegram
Yeah.
of our trophies. We're going to send them.
Of course. We've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 6, 7, I didn't count, awards. We'll each give our shout out to our players. Let's see. We're running good all the time.
I'll say if you have any extra like last minute
Do we
additions,
know
by
who
all means.
Red Zone? Do I know you? Do we know? Do I know who? Do we
I don't
know
know.
who this is?
He was hitting us up hard, me and Nick last week.
Red Zone Prods.
Yeah, dude,
Do we know you? And
love that guy.
if you would like to stay anonymous, that's okay. But
Yeah,
thanks for,
no.
He's very
Just
upset.
keep your identity secret, Batman.
Nick, he said Nick was so active last week, and now he's not. Sad face.
I know they stole my spotlight.
All right, we are going on to we're starting off with MVP of the fantasy season. We'll start it off with Chris. Chris, who is your 2024? And this is just to clear up, this is weeks 1 through 19, regular season only, not counting playoffs.
Yeah. Obviously subjective.
Yeah.
This has no sort of like legitimacy to it. We're just
Spoiler,
who we thought was the most I would have.
I put Joe Burrow on every single award. Okay, proceed.
I mean, fair enough. He could have gotten it, honestly. My MVP was Saquon Barkley. I think clearly he was. What did he finish as the RB1 this year?
I can check.
Was it
Keep
Jameer?
talking.
It was Jameer. But it's
I
because
say-
Saquon's
Yeah, I was gonna say I knew it was close. So my point is like one or two, however you want to put Saquon in that category. Dude had a career year. Literally could have broken the rushing record. Well, saying like, oh, he got an extra game over Eric Dickerson. Cool. Go look at how many carries Eric Dickerson have. You want to know how many he had? 60 more carries than Saquon Barkley on the entire season.
Okay,
I don't care about an extra game.
we have a game-breaking announcement. I've got Saquon as the RB1.
PFF? Or I mean, not PFF.
According
Are you
to
thinking
what?
sleeper or
According to according to Fantasy Pros, ESPN. It's
well, sleeper may be a little different. I was looking at sleeper.
it could have been scoring.
It's-
Scoring matters.
It's got Saquon. It's got Saquon RB1 finishing at 322.3, Derrick Henry at RB2 317, and then Jameer at RB3 at 310. Either way, they're within.
Is that
That's-
standard or is that PPR?
I don't know. 320
oh,
seems kind of
that-
low.
It was on the standard. Hold on.
Yeah, I was just say.
We're running it back. We're running it back.
Jameer
No,
probably had a lot
it's-
more receptions than
it's-
Barkley.
It's Jameer. There it is. 362.
Okay.
355 was Saquon. Good job, Nick.
Thank you.
Red zone, gas him up. Hit him up.
Give me some.
No,
We were just testing him.
I just all I have to say, like, could have broken the single season rushing record, sat out the last game of the season, had 60 less carries than the guy who holds the record, and literally like, you got him in the back of the first or in the early second. Like,
Yep.
usually you're having to get that type of elite level running back player at like the
Top
first or second pick. Like, that's it. And so like where you got Barkley, like there was a chance legitimately people had Saquon Barkley, Jamar Chase as their 1-2 picks to start a draft. Jamar fell really far. Saquon was, like I said, early second round. You could have legitimately had those two guys as your first two picks. And if you did, dude, props to you. But
Yeah.
Barkley was so awesome this year. I had him in a league that I was 7-7, and he just literally carried me to a championship. So thank you, Saquon Barkley.
Ridiculous. All right. Nick, who is your MVP of the year?
Jamar Chase. It's not close.
I mean,
You're incorrect on your. Jamar finished with over 400 points. 403. The
Yeah, that-
next closest wide receiver. Let me look really quick. Next closest wide receiver was Justin Jefferson with 317. So not even close. The next running back was 362. So Jamar put up 40 more points than the next best skill position. And I mean, you're taking him in the top 5 picks. I think a lot of people.
Dude, I don't think he was.
Yes, he was.
CMC, Tyreek,
CD,
yeah, was up there.
and then it was like a tier break, and it was Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Bijan. It was like some of those people.
Yeah, that's right. Bijan was up there pretty high this year.
When y'all are gonna trust me?
Was Brees Hall up that high?
No.
All I'm saying is there were several drafts, like I said, that he fell like back of the first.
My point, though, as I was saying, you might have got lucky with him because he had a shaky start to the season, and a lot of people dumped him because they thought, "Uh-oh, he has contract issues. He's not going to play." He looked like buns the first like 2 or 3 weeks, came out, and then started to just do what he pleased on the field. Nobody could stop him.
Can we talk about the fact that
Yeah.
you just mentioned that he literally didn't play basically the first 4 games?
Yeah.
He did.
That's that's why he's the MVP.
He was bad. like 5-6 points a game.
Do we think he would have been better with a $40 million paycheck or worse?
I think it would have been the same.
Or the same?
I think it would have been
Yeah,
the same.
I don't know that the money, dude. I don't know. Honestly,
I think it would have affected him for the first couple games. He
It could have
definitely
been a motivator.
came out pissed. Like you
Yeah.
could tell. He said it didn't affect him, but like he came out not good.
yeah, you could tell. Like there were several times they panned to the sideline, and he was like pretty hot and bothered about something or whatever. That
I don't
sometimes
think
like
that's what it means.
Sheesh.
I think hog bother has another meaning.
Alrighty. Well, moving on. My MVP of the season was Lamar after I trashed him for being a bad quarterback. Although
Yeah, for
he
real.
is was a great fantasy player this year. It's because I was in standard again. He's the only player in standard over 400. When you switch to PPR, he's the only quarterback over 400. Obviously, one of 2 players over 400. Next closest quarterback, Josh Allen at 385. So basically, if you had Lamar, you didn't have to worry about what was going on at the quarterback position, which is nice. That is a stressor for, I'd say, half the people in a 10-man league. So he's my MVP. He somehow did it with no wide
receivers.
I mean, Zay.
Yeah, Mark Andrews had a down year for the most part. It seemed like Zay Flowers was okay.
Yeah, he had his ups and downs. I mean, Mark Andrews trended upwards. Obviously, he started to take off, but the first half of the season he was non-existent. But I'll give it to Lamar, and that's with me disliking him. So unbiased gift. Moving on to the steal.
That's the only one you're gonna get.
Yeah. Moving on to the steal of the draft. Somebody that we think probably fell pretty far that we got away with Moida on. Chris, who is the steal of the draft for you?
This one was probably the easiest in my mind. This is like the most obvious, like Jane Daniels. You got Jane Daniels in like the 10th or the 11th round or something, like double-digit rounds. You got Jane Daniels. And Jane Daniels finished as like the quarterback 4 or something crazy. Took you probably to a championship. And same as Lamar in the sense that several weeks had multiple rushing touchdowns, had multiple passing touchdowns, literally did it all. And you got that level of play 8 rounds later than you got Lamar Jackson. So incredible gift you were given if you waited and you took that risk, because you were able to grab a bunch of skill positions, fill that out, and still get basically Lamar Jackson in the 10th round.
And if you're in a keeper, that's
even better.
Yeah. I don't know many people that
He'll go, dude. He might go in like the second or third round this year, probably.
Yeah,
there's no way he doesn't.
Washington's got to get him some. I mean,
secondary receiver to Terry.
I don't know how long Terry's going to be able to do that.
They're saying the rumor is they're probably going to draft a running back with their first pick potentially, like a really good high level guy, because this draft class is really like
RB
bulked.
heavy.
Yeah, RB heavy. So they might get him somebody who's like a dual threat, young Eckler type player.
That'd be nice. I mean, yeah, they have a potential to be a problem over the next 5 years if he can stay that good. So we'll see. Nick, who is your steal of the draft?
You're gonna notice a pattern with me. Chase Brown, steal of the draft. Dude balled out second half of the year. Once, if you had, there was people just knew Chase Brown. It was just a superstition. It was going around that Chase Brown was like, he could be insane. So if you drafted him, you probably drafted him with like one of your last picks, and he turned out to be like,
My dad.
he was like top 5.
Dude, it's because Zach Moss was
week
supposed to be
6
the
on
guy.
or whatever. So Chase Brown, you're my goat, my king. He'll go
you.
high. He'll go high
Yeah,
next year.
he'll
He'll
go.
probably go
Yeah.
end of
Unless the
second.
Bengals do something in the offseason, he'll go real high.
Yeah.
I don't
So-
think they're gonna add anybody at the running back position.
I'm not sure why they would.
They'll probably add depth pieces, I would imagine. They're probably going to lose
Khalil Herbert,
Zach
and
Moss,
Zach Moss.
and yeah, so like they'll clear up some space. They'll probably either draft somebody like in the later round or offseason, like free agency, sign somebody, kind of washed as a
It's just
backup player.
Well, that's what I was looking around before they got Khalil Herbert, and there ain't a lot of free agents.
No, there's not.
it's
I don't know
pretty
what
bad.
I don't know what this offseason looks like either. I don't know
Dalvin
who's
Cook.
Dude,
No.
he's 100.
Yeah, no. He's so old.
Yeah, poor guy.
Poor guy got beat out by Zeke.
Yeah,
There's no way Dalvin Cook
that's
is
crazy.
good.
That's crazy. What's crazy? He was good the last year he played on the Vikings, and then he literally went to where'd he go? The Jets,
The Jets.
and he
yeah,
was just terrible.
dude. Well, the crazy,
They didn't
that
use
whole
him.
situation's. I said that whole situation's weird because if you watch, like, the Hard Knocks followed the Jets that year, and if you watch it, it was like under this premise that like it was going to be a Brees and Dalvin like mix. Nope, it was just all Brees Hall, and then like I don't know if just sitting arthritis creeped into his old joints and bones or what happened because he was not the same.
Poor fella. All right, my steal of the draft would be Bo Nix. His ADP was 23 in ESPN. So for the quarterback position, not for overall players, obviously, because that's pretty high. But he finished 7th in quarterback ranking.
23 is probably like a way like you probably didn't get drafted.
Yeah, it's pretty low. Like that's what they were putting his average at, and he finished 7th overall in PPR. Now whether he can maintain that, we'll see. Because Cortland Sutton had a crazy resurgence this year, and
And you just saw CJ Stroud have an incredible rookie year and look like buns this year for the
And-
most part.
Yep.
and when Sutton was doing bad, Mims picked him up, and Mims is not a long-term answer. I'm
No.
convinced. So I don't know how well he'll retain that, but I think
Where's the line next season? Like at what round would you be content taking like, okay, this is a good pick
Bo Nix
for Bo Nix? Yeah.
9.
I was gonna say 8 or 9.
Really?
Yeah.
For the quarterback 7.
Bro.
Like, if you know- I'm just hypothetically. Quarterbacks like I'm trying to think like what were the first 7 quarterbacks drafted this year theoretically?
Lamar,
Obviously
Allen, Lamar,
Joe,
Kurtz, Joe, and then
Herbert.
probably
who were the,
Herbert.
no.
and-
Herbert was way late.
Oh yeah, no, he was late.
Who were like the next 2, I guess? is what
Anthony
I'm looking at.
Richardson.
Oh yeah.
And Kyler Murray probably
Yeah.
because of rushing.
I mean, I'm
Probably something
taking
like that.
him.
But both of those, but Anthony Richardson and Kyler Murray were like 6th, 7th round, like draft position is what I'm
Yeah.
getting at.
Yep.
So like,
I mean, you talking about
My point-
Are you talking about our league, or are you talking about everybody else's
no,
league?
just like in a normal. Ours is different because it's a little like the keeper portion, and you
Yeah.
have people with very strong opinions.
Yeah.
Stroud was up there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that my point. All I'm trying to get at is
I would say
if he fell to the 9th, I'm in. I'm just saying
I would-
quarterback 7 falling to the 9th probably won't happen.
Yeah, I would say 7 if I'm worried someone's going to take 7th round if I'm worried someone's going to take him, 9th round if I'm really comfortable. But
He's not getting drafted by me.
yeah, I was just say he ain't worried about it because he ain't taking him. Like
No, I don't know that I would either, but I was
Heck
just
no.
curious.
But I've never taken Josh Allen. I've never taken Lamar.
Is Bo Nix a top 4 white quarterback
of all time.
in the league? No, not of all time.
In the league, no. You got Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield. Oh man, I'm running out of whiteys.
Uh-oh.
Jared Goff.
Uh-oh.
No, he's dead to me.
Is that okay? Your
You talking
hatred.
fantasy quarterback or like actual quarterback?
I'm talking actual quarterback.
No, Matt Stafford is better than Bo Nix.
Okay. So is Bo Nix top 5?
I'd say Bo Nix and Jared Goff are like at the same level in my brain. Like Jared Goff.
Horrible take.
Jared Goff.
Justin
horrible.
Herbert.
Oh, Justin Herbert. I would take Justin Herbert over Bo Nix. Yeah.
Jared Goff is better.
Dude, Jared Goff threw 5 picks in one game. All right.
And they still won.
Yeah, that's not Jared Goff.
That's leadership.
And he threw what? What did he throw? 2 yesterday or whatever day it
Oh,
was?
poor guy got absolutely planted
He
into the
got
earth too.
launched.
Bo Nix is carried by the run
By
game
who?
and by the defense.
Dude, Javonte
That
Williams.
defense.
Okay, by the defense, maybe. Javonte Williams ain't carrying nobody.
It
was kind of a-
them.
It was like a 4-headed backfield. They all had like 30 yards a game, but there were 4 of them,
Yeah,
so it
but
was like
I mean,
120
Cortland
yards.
Sutton 8, so it had to come from somewhere.
And Bo Nix rushes a bunch.
Yeah.
So that definitely helped. Like that's a part of the rush game too.
Dead to me. Got to stay in the pocket.
Rodgers
Rodgers.
or Nix?
Rodgers now.
Dude,
I
what
got-
are you guys on? Of course, I'm taking. If all time I'm taking Rodgers,
Yeah.
you guys are dumb.
I'd probably take Nix
I'd-
for the age at this point.
I'd probably take Rodgers.
Donnie has some weird obsession with Aaron Rodgers.
I don't think his
He will not let
his-
the old
his-
man
his
die.
stats were not.
I
As,
don't
his
understand.
stats were not as bad as you think they were.
No, I
he
kept
threw,
saying
like,
that.
26 touchdowns and like 13 picks and had like 3,500 yards passing.
I kept telling
I
people
do that.
I had him in fantasy, and people kept telling me the whole season like he was horrible, and I was like, dude, he's on my bench in Dynasty, and he just consistent.
I
like
think,
17
I think
points
the Jets
every
are
week.
one of just like the most mismanaged teams in the league right
Yeah,
now.
it's an anomaly.
But
that
also-
defense was awesome last year. Something didn't happen. That now they stink.
I think it's also easy just to hate Rodgers right now because he gets every chance he has to act like the biggest tool. So
Okay, hear me out. Next year, who are you taking? Bo Nix or Bryce Young?
oh,
Bo Nix.
is Adam
Now,
Thielen
Bryce
playing?
Young. Yep. Bryce Young looked good at the end of
He
the
did
year.
look good. I will give you that. He did look good.
Dang.
I'm gonna assume that the Broncos can fill out weapons better than the Panthers
I'm
can.
gonna take Bo Nix because I trust Sean Payton more than whoever the heck
Yeah.
is leading the ship in Carolina.
Wrong.
You taking Bryce?
Yep.
I don't hate it. He
Rushing
looked really
ability.
good.
I
he
mean,
looked.
he had the best mentor out there.
I'm sorry.
The Red Rocket.
Bo Nix rushed.
I did.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah. that's
Moving
what I
on.
thought. That good boy.
To the to this year's
I'm sorry.
breakout player. Chris, who was your breakout player this year?
Bucky Irving.
Dog.
That dude is awesome,
Man.
and also
Dangerous. Sorry.
kind of got a cool name.
When are the freaking Buccaneers gonna stop getting just one-off? Some of them aren't one-off, but just god tier running backs for a year. They got Bucky, they got Rashad White, they got freaking playoff Lenny. Like,
Here's the difference, though. The Leonard Fournette one was end of career, and he was just fantasy value solely because it was Najee's rookie year in the sense that it was just literally like 8 catches a game for like 15 yards receiving. Like, dude was just getting dump off after dump off for nothing. Rashad White, after Leonard Fournette left, legitimately, I looked, was like the most inefficient running back to like almost ever play football.
Well, okay.
Rushing.
Also,
Their line's bad.
you had the worst line ever. You had the quarterback in Brady, who is the fastest to ever get rid of a football and
Sure.
throws 45 times a game at the age of 45. So,
Sure.
not a great
Yeah, yeah.
combination.
Yeah, I totally get that's a part of it. But like even still, like PFF grades based off of like opportunity and not so much like in your example, obviously like that all plays a factor, but you have, what did you do? It was bad. But again, same thing, just a bunch of receiving. I Irving is going to continue to be good. I like when you watch him run, like he runs.
He runs.
Yep, he
They go
runs.
fast.
Well, like, dude, he doesn't look big, but like,
Solve the puzzle.
what are you doing? We've lost him. I don't know what's happened.
I feel I'm not a part of the conversation. You're
I
yapping over here.
Bruh.
Hurry it up.
I genuinely feel like Bucky will just continue doing what he's done. I don't see like how it doesn't get better. If anything, like you saw at the beginning of the year, it was Rashad White, and then they just transitioned to Bucky over time. I just think next year it's going to get worse and worse, and it's just going to be all Bucky.
Is this his first year? Is he on a
Rookie?
Dang.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
Who drafted him in our sleeper league?
Jay. I tried to get him today. It did not go well.
Today? Like
literally today I was trying to trade for him and it was not happening.
All right. Moving on to Nick's breakout player of the year. Who you got?
Brian Thomas. It's not close. He was the wide receiver 4 on the year. And nobody figured that. He was
especially with Mac Jones.
Yeah, Jacksonville wide receiver. A lot of people probably just didn't know who he was and didn't draft him. So he's breakout player of the year. Nobody expected that to happen.
I was
and
not
Buddy,
paying
He's going to be
attention
good, but yeah,
wide receiver
level.
4. Go to
Thank you for counting.
Welcome.
All right, my breakout player of the year was Chase Brown. He averaged 12.
You changed it.
Huh?
Oh yeah, I'm looking at the wrong one. Let me retract that statement.
Come on, you doofus.
He averaged 12.6 points per game, and that was with him not starting until week 9. So that's pretty good.
That's very crazy.
Zach Moss was just eating all the carries at the beginning. Poor guy broke his neck for the city of Cincinnati. So respect, Zach Moss.
Just to get dropped next year.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. But,
and what sucks is like he was good. Like he was playing pretty good.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was bad.
Not as good as Chase.
No,
Brown.
but I definitely
but he wasn't getting as many opportunities as Chase was either.
Yeah, I definitely think they changed the playbook for Chase Brown, 1, and 2. If we would have kept Zach Moss, like, I think, like, goal line, or, like, he would have been, like, very Samaje Perine-esque compared to Chase Brown, but I don't think they're going to retain him. He might be cheap enough to where they do if he's healthy, but we'll see. So he was my breakout player of the year. Moving on to favorite player to have. This is the award that pertains to our specific roster. Chris, who was your favorite player to have, and what type of league did you have him in?
It was PPR. I basically only play in PPR. I have one league that's standard. And it's
keeper or normal or dynasty?
It's just regular redraft. PPR. I had Jamar in a league, and it was so fun. Just every week, knowing at minimum after week 4, it was literally like I was just guaranteed 25 points basically. It was awesome. It was so great. I would go into a game on Monday when the Bengals play, and I'd be down like 30, and I'd be like, I could probably win. Like that. It wasn't even like I wasn't even afraid.
Yeah, and with all the primetime games Bengals played, you always got Jamar playing late, so he was their savior. So that must have been nice. Nick,
it was awesome.
Who was your favorite player of the year?
Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm a Jahmyr Gibbs glazer. He's just fun to watch. I like how he is. They call him Sonic for a reason. Fun to watch.
I do like
and he just
All those
so
rings.
fast. He's so
Wow.
he's so fast. So
I should have just put
that's
David
why I like
Montgomery
him.
to spite you.
And I like that.
That would be
I-
somebody. But the sad thing is, it probably would be true. You probably love David
I
Montgomery.
do. I
I
love.
hate David
Nothing
Montgomery.
brings me more joy than to watch ESPN watch Jameer Gibbs take it all the way down the field for David Montgomery to punch it
to
in.
the 1 yard line.
Like that.
David Montgomery gets 4 tries at the goal
Yeah,
line.
Dude, it makes me so happy. Honestly, I could have put David Montgomery down, but I forgot I had him because I traded him midseason. Instead, I put Brock Bowers because even with the crappy quarterback situation he had, dude just still put up a million points all the time. And when I actually got to watch him play, he's a freak athlete. Like,
Dude, he is.
dude is very, very mobile. He looks like a younger, more athletic Mike Gesicki. Like, that isn't.
To wrap this up, Ohio State's almost about to lose.
Are they really?
Notre Dame's coming back.
Uh-oh.
It looks like they're kind of coming back.
Hey, has Ohio State scored any more since we were talking about defensive coordinator? Maybe the Bengals are onto something.
Yeah,
Zach
It's
Taylor.
31-23. Ohio State has the ball 3.5 minutes.
Oh man! All right, that's gonna be a close one.
Yeah.
Moving on to
All right, let's go. Let's zoom through this.
Father Time. We have the player that keeps beating the clock of age. Chris, who is your old man geriatric that just won't stop going?
Derrick Henry. That dude is like 31, and as far as running backs go, 27's the number usually where they start dying. So that dude is going strong, and I don't see a world where if he stays with the Ravens again, how it just doesn't continue. There's another podcast I listen to, and they talk about Derrick Henry, and they're probably right. It's probably going to be something that you're not going to see some like steady decline. I genuinely think Derrick Henry's career is going to be like incredible, and then you're going to be like, wow.
What happened?
He might
Yeah,
just
why is he so
retire.
bad? Dude, yeah, honestly, like he's incredible. He's so big, and just watching him be a bowling bar to linebackers and just bulldoze them over.
It sounded like that toy. Yeah, he looks like he's gliding on the turf. It's
insane. Dude's
not
outrunning like 20-year-olds, and it's
Yeah.
awesome. And I hate that he's in the division with the Bengals.
Nicholas.
great.
Who is your player that is beating out Father Time?
Alvin Kamara. I have faith. They're just gonna feed him. I don't think he's probably gonna be great next year. He's not gonna rush for a lot, but they're just gonna dump.
I mean, that's what
So
his whole
fantasy wise.
that's
I
what
think
his
he'll
whole
be.
freaking fantasy career has been so far.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mine is the one, the only, the GOAT, Mike Evans. He is
Saw that one coming.
He is quarterback
Shocker.
proof. I get him every year. I love him. I always get worried about him, and he always pulls through. He got 1,000 yards this year. People are dogging on him because they are feeding him to get him to 1,000 yards. Brother missed 3.5 games, and he got 1,000
Yeah, that's
yards.
impressive.
All right?
Impressive.
Yeah.
And he had Chris Godwin, who was taking 1 billion targets from him. So,
Dude, yeah. Godwin was balling in the first half before he
and
blew his Achilles out again.
the running game was going off. So the fact that he made it to 1,000 yards at 100 years old for the 8th season in a row or whatever it was is ridiculous. And he is my pick, and he will continue to be my pick as long as he does it. I remember the first year AJ Green didn't do it. It was devastating. So when it happens to Mike Evans, I will be devastated.
Speaking of, death is coming. Chris, who's your guy?
Mike Evans. Here, when the death bell tolls,
Ain't
it's
happening.
time. Dude,
Ring-a-ding-ding-ding-dong.
So in all honesty, I looked at like all of our names. These are all players for the most part that you're kind of like just gut like feeling. Obviously, like if we're calling a fall off of something, there's not really a whole lot to back it up. So to your point about Mike Evans doing it for so long, he's done it for so long. Like at some point it's gotta come crashing down. So I think we're getting close with Mike Evans. Obviously you said it, he's missed 3 games. He struggled with some lower leg injury over the last several years. with age that only gets worse. Like Keenan Allen, for instance, that dude can't freaking stay on the field. So I just think it's
I
time.
rebuke your death is coming. Stay away from him. Nick, who is your player that's about to fall off?
Cooper Cup.
This one
He's
crushes
probably
me.
already fallen off. Puka Nacua is the guy. Cooper Cup could be the guy, but they just don't want him to be anymore.
Dude, I don't know what
sad.
happened.
I wholeheartedly agree, and it breaks my heart. Saw a report today that Cooper Cup said he still wants to play, but he's not sure if he wants to play for the Rams. So,
I mean, they were going to trade him in the middle of the season.
I wouldn't want to play for the Rams either because Matt Stafford can't get his eyes off of freaking Puka Nacua. So,
bring him to Washington.
Did you see that Matthew Stafford said that he had more football left in him, but probably not in Los Angeles?
Where would Matthew Stafford go?
I don't know, but he made that comment to a reporter after the game that he had more football left, but that he wasn't sure if it was.
He doesn't really
with the
seem like
Rams.
a California guy. He seems like a, I don't know, smaller market, mid market.
Green Bay type guy.
Minnesota, Green Bay.
Yeah, classic. The Lions.
Yeah, old veteran.
Can you imagine the Lions right now with Matt Stafford?
Be pretty good. About the same.
You don't think it's any better?
Nah.
Dude, I think they are.
Man, I think Amon-Ra probably has a
Dude,
billion more receptions. But
Amon-Ra, I think Sam Laporta probably has a better second season.
I just don't think you can ask Matt Stafford to not throw that many times. Though he just wants to throw and they want to run, so it just probably wouldn't work out.
Johnny, who's your death is coming?
Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
And I think that it's because he wants to get out of Miami and he doesn't know where he wants to go. One, unless he knows and he's not telling anybody. Two,
that he came back out though and said that he was willing to stay and everything was cool now.
If he did stay,
it was weird.
Something's got to change drastically. And when he was on the field, he didn't look nearly as good as he has obviously in the past. So no one really knows why, but mine mostly gut feeling that he's just been, I mean, 3 years ago he was like, I want to retire soon. So like if that's been
he literally said I'm finishing my contract with the Dolphins and I'm done.
If that's been in his mind for 3 years, then like he's got to give it up soon. So that's my death is coming player. Moving on to players we will never draft again. And let me tell you, folks, I probably have the longest list out of anybody here of players I'll never draft.
Johnny's been conducting this list for the last 10 years.
And I've broken it a couple times and has screwed me every time I've broken it. So, Chris, who is your never draft again player? And let me tell you, I just looked at the doc for the first time on this spot. I love it because I'm never drafting this player either.
Yeah, dude, there's no way. Jalen Waddle, good riddance, you loony, dude. I thought everything showed when these guys came in. It was Devonta Smith, T. Higgins, Jalen Waddle, all kind of lumped into one category. And you thought all these wide receiver twos are on a high-powered offense and they're going to get a bunch of work. And Jalen Waddle had that one season with Tyreek where like Tyreek was the wide receiver like 3 and Waddle was like the wide receiver like 11 or something like that. And it was like, they can do it. And the crazy thing about it was Waddle just wasn't scoring touchdowns, but it was like a bunch of catches on a bunch of yards. And you thought touchdowns can go up. And then it just never did. And it got worse and worse. And and I don't know if Tua just doesn't understand that there's more than one receiver playing on the football field at a time. I don't know. I don't know what happened with Mike McDaniels where he like no longer play calls anything to Jalen Waddle. It's all like Jalen Waddle is arguably just as fast as Tyreek, maybe like a smidge slower.
Yeah, I think
I
think that's part of the problem is you got two super fast, none outside of the numbers receivers.
Well, but like that's my point. But like you're right. But like why is the scheme only Tyreek?
I don't know.
That's my point. Like it'd be one thing if like you had two of these players and you were like interchanging like who gets to go deep. Like in my mind, if I have those players, I understand Tyreek is going to be doubled 9 times out of 10, which means Jalen Waddle probably has a lot of one-on-ones. And if he's that fast, that probably helps you.
One. Yeah.
But like they're just not doing it. And so like after this year, like I thought Jalen Waddle was going to have a kind of a breakout year. Like I thought the value you were getting at like the 5th round was going to be good, and
I will
never again.
never touch him. Nick, I will also never touch your player. So who is that?
George Pickens screwed me over. Didn't play good all year. He had probably one game that was playable, and then every other game you were so excited that he was gonna do something because this was the game. Never, never drafting him again. Hate him. Hate his.
It also doesn't help that he's a Pittsburgh player. That also plays into the factor of never drafting again.
I've never seen a highlight reel so bad after they played the Bengals the second time, where he dropped all those passes and it was like someone made a highlight reel of him dropping all the passes, arguing with his own fans. Like, I'm like, dude, yeah. I've never seen this before. Like, I would never touch him. Granted, I wouldn't touch most of the Pittsburgh players because I just don't like where their offense is at. So I don't trust him. My never touch again is Jared Goff. I sat Jared Goff 5 times. And every single time I sat Jared Goff, he scored over 26 points.
Welcome to the Kirk Cousins experience.
Yeah. He finished obviously very high on quarterback rankings, but that's because he would put up 40 and then 5. So it was very much so boomer bust. I hate boomer bust in the quarterback position. I like boomer bust in a lot of other players. I draft boomer bust a lot of the time. Quarterback position is not a place I like boomer bust. Give me a solid 17 points a week, and that's all I'm asking for. That's typically what I try to get out of a quarterback position because I said earlier, I never draft high in quarterback because I don't want to waste a draft pick. And I won 2 out of the 4 leagues I was in this year without taking a projected high quarterback. One could argue Joe Burrow, but that was my dynasty league, so I didn't take him. But it's just infuriating to watch a quarterback when you need them to put up anything, put up 8, and then you lose because of that. I can't do it. So I'll never touch him again. He joins the very long list of players, like I said, that I won't touch.
Yep.
But that wraps up our end of season awards for the 2024-2020, well, I guess barely 2025 NFL fantasy season. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the To Be Fair Fantasy Football Podcast. Join us next week, right back here at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Where's my mouse? It's hiding from me. We'll be back with some exciting things. Everybody, get on your knees. Pray to the good Lord that the Chiefs lose.
Okay. Didn't know where we were going.
No, I was wholesome that the Chiefs lose. America cannot handle another Chiefs.
No. Please.
Victory. So we'll be watching diligently. Until next time, have a great one. Goodbye.